Hey folks, and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video we are going to be taking a look at the Dead Space Remake. Now when it comes to horror games, few can compare to the classic that is Dead Space. Developed by Visceral Games and published by Electronic Arts, the original 2008 game has become a cult classic over the years, inspiring multiple sequels and spin-offs. Now, after more than a decade, this classic has finally got a remake, and fans have been waiting for it for a very long time. Developed by Motive Studios and obviously published by Electronic Arts as was the original game, this new remake is set to bring back all the horror and suspense that the original game was known for, but with some notable improvements. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the biggest changes and improvements in this Dead Space remake. The visuals, the audio, the storytelling, the gameplay, the characters, enemies, etc., even the weapons and the development, and overall, the reception of the remake. So, with that said, let's get started, folks.
So you keep saying.
Here we go. Nice clean re-entry. Welcome to Aegis 7.
As all my videos go, let me give you some information about the Dead Space remake. Now this obviously is a reimagining of the classic 2008 game and is set to bring back all the horror and suspense that the original game was known for, but with some notable improvements. The game was first announced on July 22nd, 2021 and was set to be released in late 2022. On March 11, 2022, however, it was announced that the game was being pushed to early 2023. And on October 4th, 2022, a gameplay trailer for Dead Space was released, which revealed the game's release date to be January 27th. The game is finally out on the PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series X and S. Now, let's talk about the plot of the setting of the game. The game is set in the 26th century, and the story follows engineer Isaac Clarke, a crewman on a repair vessel called the USG Kellion, assigned to the USG Ishimura, a massive planetary mining ship that has gone silent above the planet Aegis the 7th. His crew includes computer specialist Kendra Daniels, Chief Security Officer Zach Hammond, and co-pilots and security personnel Haley Johnston and Aidan Chen. The setting of the game takes place on a derelict spaceship known as the USG Ishimura, which has been overrun by mysterious alien creatures known as the Necromorphs. And as Isaac Clarke, you are sent to investigate the ship and uncover its secrets. Now along the way, you must battle the Necromorphs, unravel the secrets of the ship, and ultimately save the crew from certain doom. I am going to talk about the biggest changes that come in this remake, but while we are on the screen, while we are taking a look at this introduction gameplay cutscene, you could say, one of the biggest changes that you can notice is that with the added dialogues and with your protagonist now talking, the intro cutscene is far more longer than the original. So it takes a little more time to get on board USG Ishimura because of the added dialogues. Now, before I proceed any further, I would also like to mention that the footage that you're seeing, both of the Xbox Series S and of the PC, the shadows have been tuned up a bit so that the game looks a little more detailed, because the original game, it's a little darker than what you see on screen right now. The other thing that I do want to mention is that it would be best if you take a look at this video not on your mobile devices but on a bigger screen, because only then you will be able to understand the differences between the original and the remake a little more clearly. Now with that said, let's get into the biggest changes and improvements in the Dead Space remake. This remake obviously brings some major changes and improvements to the original game. The most notable change is the game's visuals. The game has been developed using the Frostbite engine, which gives the game a much more realistic and detailed look. There are big improvements to character models with new high-quality models. The lighting and shadows have also been vastly improved, giving the game a much more atmospheric and ultra-realistic feel. The game also features improved enemy AI, allowing the necromorphs to be even more aggressive and more unpredictable. The game's audio has been improved with an all-new score composed by EA's award-winning composer Gareth Coker. The game's sound design has also been given an overhaul, making the necromorphs even more terrifying. The remake also features some major gameplay changes, like the game's aiming and shooting mechanics have been tweaked to make the game more accessible while still maintaining the challenge of the original. The game's story has also received some changes. While the game will still follow the same basic plot of the original, some of the characters and plot points have been changed or elaborated to make the story more engaging and interesting. The game will also feature some new characters as well as some additional plot points. Isaac Clarke now speaks in this remake, and this is probably one of the biggest changes that you would have seen even in the initial cutscene. This makes the remake to fall more in line with its sequels, because Isaac now feels like a coherent character throughout all the other installments as well. Hearing Isaac interact with other characters profoundly improves the narrative because he's able to respond to others and share his thoughts. Now, the move to the current hardware, which is the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X and S, also means Dead Space can ditch loading screens. The remake commits to a single shot presentation as well as no loading screens, which has a big impact on the player experience. The camera never cutting will work to keep players more immersed and focused on the story of the game while also maintaining the tension of combat and fear. This camera system, you could say, has been inspired by the new God of War series, which focuses on that single shot take. And it works flawlessly even in this Dead Space remake. And this is probably one of those biggest changes because, hurrah, no more loading screens. There are also subtle changes, like when Isaac picks up his weapon for the first time, there is now this added animation. So whenever you come across these desks and when you get your hands on new weapons, etc., or new upgrades for that, you do have added animations which is not there in the original. This makes the remake a little more immersive, and you kind of like that extra animation. Now, as far as the storytelling of the remake goes, it will feature some minor changes to the story of the original game, but the game will still follow the same basic plot of the original. Now, some of the characters and plot points have been changed to make the story more engaging and interesting, and the game will feature some additional plot points, you could say. For instance, Nicole Brennan is a more comprehensive character in this remake because of the deeper exposition she is given. With an entire side quest that is not included in the original game, the remake lets Isaac attempt to follow Nicole's hologram logs in order to find out where she is and what potentially happened to her. Players see more of Nicole this way and also get a chance to learn more about Isaac and Nicole's relationship, including why Nicole was stationed on the Ishimura in the first place. While the larger story hasn't changed, a new layer of the narrative has been added in the form of side missions. These are smaller tasks that you have while you're exploring the Ishimura and filling in some of the world building details through the gameplay rather than just audio and text logs as you have in the original. Arguably, the biggest change is the addition of an alternate ending to Dead Space. Now, this is a new Game Plus ending, and this ending is earned by collecting each of the marker fragments scattered through the new Game Plus version of the Ishimura and taking them to Captain Matthias's quarters at the end of the game. As far as the gameplay of the remake goes, there are some minor changes to the gameplay as well, in comparison to the original game, that is, because the game's aiming and shooting mechanics have been tweaked to make the game more accessible while still maintaining the challenge of the original. There are other changes as well, for instance the new zero gravity controls, because zero gravity segments in the original Dead Space were, well, you could say frustrating. So with this remake now, EA and Motive has changed that. Now you'll be able to fly freely using a similar control scheme to Dead Space 2 and 3, so there is this sense of familiarity and it takes away the frustration and gives you full control. You also get overhauled weapons this time around because the weapons you discovered on the Ishimura during the original Dead Space, well, they will still appear in this remake. But one of the game's biggest changes is the overhauling of certain weapons designs. For one, the pulse rifle now has a more powerful alt-fire and it's able to shoot proximity mines that detonate when necromorphs come near. Apart from this, the map has been overhauled and it's now more user-friendly, you could say. The game also features some new upgrades, allowing players to customize their weapons and gadgets, and the remake also features some new weapon types as well as some improved weapon effects. The Dead Space remake has been met with positive reception from fans of the original game, and the game's visuals have been praised for their realistic and detailed look, while the game's audio has also been praised for its atmospheric score and sound design. Overall, the Dead Space remake is a worthy improvement to the classic 2000 game in every front, and the game is already out on PlayStation 5, Windows and Xbox Series X and S, and is sure to bring back all the horror and suspense that the original game was known for, with some major improvements. So if you're a fan of the original Dead Space, then you will definitely want to get your hands on the Dead Space remake. Now with that said, it's a wrap for this video, folks. Hope you've liked the content of this video, and if you have, then I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button and also that bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. Now with that said, I'll say take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.